G'day, welcome back. I'd especially like to welcome my new subscribers, and I hope you enjoy the content of my channel. If you missed the last episode on the little electronic edge finder I bought recently, there's a link up there now. You can go and watch that first, then come back and watch this one. This episode I'm going to go back to the tool and cutter grinder to make a modification to it to try and get rid of a little problem that it has. So follow me back here over my shoulder and we'll get on with what I'm going to do with it. Alrighty, so you couldn't actually see it when I made that other video, but this was the piece of brass I was talking about, cutting the piece up and mounting it on here. But I was lying in bed last night thinking about this. I had issues with it sticking and not wanting to slide backwards and forwards as it is. So just putting even more, friction in here isn't going to help any. And then all of a sudden I had a thoughtie. I've got some of these left over from my original setup. That was actually what I mounted my tailstock on originally. But what I've done is I've knocked one of them off there and I've cut the legs off it, and I'll put it in the mill and I'll mill those bits off. But what I'm thinking about doing is, in order to cut the friction down, is mount this on here. You'll clamp that up. I actually got a set of gauge blocks a while back, so I'll be able to set this up perfectly, tangent or whatever the word is, square to this base before I do this. And then I'll mount a bearing. In fact, I think I'll mount two bearings, one each side of it, so that there's no friction from the bearing and it'll just roll backwards and forwards. And it will also give me the opportunity to put another spring in here to help push this thing back. And then if I'm rolling on two bearings here, one either side, then once I've set the angle I want with this screw over the back, then I can actually just slightly back that off, just so it's not dragging on the top, and it'll all run nice and free. Might not even need that bearing in there, but that's what I'm going to do. So I'll get that out of there and put it in the mill, clean these sides up, put it back in here, get some, I'll bolt it all back down so it's sitting where it's got to be, get some gauge blocks in there, figure out just exactly how, get that nice and square to the base, and then mark up some holes to put these in. I might even, I think I've got room, I might even slot a hole right through this thing so that those two bearings can be pushed down hard against the base and then locked up. Alrighty, so that's that 20mm end mill I sharpened by hand. I can't get over the finish I get with this. I mean, it's a bit rugged here. I started chomping through that last bit. But prior to that, the finish is just bloody awesome. That's right up there with the fly cutter for finishes. Anyway, I'm back over here and we'll figure out just how much gap we've got below there, square it all up and mark somewhere to drill a hole through here to mount those bearings with. Alrighty, so I fitted that back up while you weren't looking. This is the little set of gauge blocks I bought. It's nothing flash, but it's better than what I had before, which was nothing. What's that? That's 3mm. 4mm. If I take the wrapping off, will the 4mm fit in there? As you can see, I haven't used any of them yet because they're all still wrapped up in this wax paper. 4mm won't quite fit in there. Well, it will, but not quite. Nope. Right, so I'll leave it there for a second. I'll wrap it back up before I put it away. So we want 3mm plus, what have we got there? 0.5, let's go 0.8. Alright, so there's 3.8mm. And that won't quite go in there either. So I'll get out the 0.7. 3.1. Oh, that's why. That's not 0.05, it's 1.05. That's why it won't go in there. Yeah. What a moron. Oh, that's got it there, look at that. Right, close enough, so if I tighten that up. Alrighty, so get that out of the way. Sit this on here. Shouldn't pay just to scribe a little line on there like that rather than centre punch it. Alrighty, so I'll get that back out of there again now and take it back over the mill. And I'll drill a hole down through here, and then we'll stick an end mill down through it and slot it slightly. I did mention in the video I made about this thing that that ball is 10 millimeters. So we come across here for 5 mil, zero that out. I know where what's going on there? Oh, still got anodizing on the side here. And it's not shorting out on it. Well, that's a bastard. Oh, well, it doesn't need to be dead centre. That's interesting. Only it won't pick up through this damn anodizing on the side here. Very, very interesting. I actually cleaned the bottom up when you weren't looking. Alright, well I'll just measure that and scribe a line in the centre. It doesn't need to be dead centre. Alrighty, so I've fitted it back up in there. And I've just got a bit of oil thread through there at the moment. I'll get in the bolt shop and pick up a really long cap head, about 75 or 80 millimetres long, if I can get one that long, an 8 millimetre cap head. Now the way I see it, the further I can get those two bearings apart, the more stable that will be. If you're too close together, you know, but the further apart they are, the more stable it will be. So I'll get down the road and I'll get a bolt. I'll go and buy the bolt first, and then after that, what I'll do is I'll get I've got some 1/2 inch round brass there. I'll machine up some little bushes. This side may be about 6 millimetres long with a 8 mil hole through it. And over the other side, maybe 10 or 12 mil long, just depends on how long a bolt I can get. Alrighty, so I've been in the bolt shop, and the longest cap head they had was 75 millimetres. So while you went looking, I knocked up a 6 millimetre long bush and a 15 millimetre long bush. Put these in here, put a nut on it, push it down nice and tight. Alrighty, well that's spinning freely, which means it's not sitting down, and that one kind of is too. Alright, we'll leave it there for a second. Don't worry about trying to adjust that out of it later. Two shims out from under there. It's still spinning freely, and that one's sitting tight. I'm going to take this brass key thing out of here, which was all that was holding in place before. Tighten that right up. Well, there's literally no movement in that now, so I haven't got to put much pressure on it for that to lock up. Now I saw it roll back under there a second ago. While I was down there, also picked up a spring, put up in here. Fits over that bar quite nicely, and I'll put that spring in there, and that will most certainly shove it backwards. Anyway, it's lunchtime now, so I'm going to go and have some lunch, and then when I come back out I will pull it all back apart again, put that spring in there, do everything else to it, and then if I feel like it, I might try and sharpen another end mill. Alrighty, so I came out this afternoon and reassembled this thing, but I didn't record anything because old mate's Malamute was bloody yapping and carrying on all afternoon. It's been doing it again this morning too. But I thought I'd come out and have a go and see if I could get through it without it carrying on. This has absolutely no movement in it, and I've got that locking bolt, brass locking bolt that I had in here, all the pin bolt thing removed. I've added that spring and taken the other springs I had in it out of it. And it works absolutely beautifully now, so now it works the way I really wanted it to. While I was putting all this back together yesterday, I suddenly heard I thought, what the hell was that? I looked down on the bench and this was lying on the bench. So obviously that pack epoxy didn't stick it on there properly. I don't know, maybe I didn't clean it up enough or whatever, but I'm going to have to refit that. But I think I'll put an M3, I might slot it in here and put an M3 cap head in there so that it's adjustable, and I'll refit it again. But for the time being, I think I can get away with not using it. Anyway, let me move this camera because it's just sitting on a little tiny desktop tripod that I bought a while back. If I pull this over here, I'm going to knock it for sure. Alrighty, so this is the end mill I'm going to have a crack at, and I don't know whether you can see that. There's a pretty hefty chip on that edge there, so I'll have to grind a fair bit off it before I can regrind it. And it is, just, like I said, a centre cutter, so that'll be interesting. I bought these two diamond cut-offs. They're only 1 millimetre thick, but I wondered why they were so cheap. They were 20 baht each. It's less than $1 Australian and like about 55 or 60 US cents each. But they're just rough as guts. The hole in the centre has just been punched out. I don't know. But anyway, two of them together are about the right width to cut the slot in here. So I don't know, we'll see how we go when we do that. I might just end up grinding that by hand again. But anyway, we'll have a go at sharpening this up shortly. Alrighty, so I think that's just about got it. I've been round it about 1,000 times to get rid of that chomp off there, but that's the 15 degrees. So I'll reset it to 5 and cut the primary edges. Alrighty, I'm starting to think that the decision to set this up here like this was a bit of a stroke of genius, really. But anyway, let's get in and grind these primaries. Pull my mask back up. Righty, let's see what that looks like. Too much. Anyway, I'll run with that for starters. I'll get out of there and give you a look. Righto. That looks fairly focused. Well, it doesn't look too bad. Mind you, I've cut way too big a flat on there now, but anyway. Might have to go back through and regrind that 15 degrees. But once I cut across there, I've ended up with a little point right in the centre because this wheel has started to round off a bit. I didn't want to go back past the centre too much. Anyway. I'm about to get rid of that when I grind this other one. I think I might put this wheel back on because it's still got a nice square edge on it, which will allow me to grind that over in here a bit easier. Get rid of that point perhaps. Anyway, we'll have a little play with that. Well viewers, this episode I think just came to a screaming halt. I was working away on this end mill, grinding away after changing over to the different disc, and next thing it went snap, crackle, pop, and sparks flew out of everything and came to a complete halt and threw the overloads out on the main board. Obviously that fan was not doing a good enough job of sucking air through there, because it's just, I mean, it's just hot as hell. Everything's hot. I don't think it's gonna run again. I think its days are numbered, but I think I'll leave that sit to cool overnight, because it is late in the afternoon. It's approaching beer o'clock, and we'll see what happens, whether it'll fire up in the morning or whether it's as good as dead. Alrighty, after giving this some more thought yesterday afternoon, I think this thing's just stuffed. It's actually the second time I've had one of these 220 volt DC motors shit itself. Originally I had one in the belt sander and it just suddenly died on me one day. But anyway, what I decided was, at 250 watts, this thing is just trying to work way too hard, because I was bogging it down there yesterday trying to grind the end of that, and it's just, you know, it's just making it get too hot because it's working really hard. So I went back to where I got this one from and I had a look. They have a 500 watt version, which I think, it doesn't say it isn't, but I think it's exactly the same size as that. There is a 750 watt version, but it runs at 7,000 RPM and I don't want it that fast. The 500 watt one runs at 4,000, the same as this, and I haven't ordered another bracket, so it better be the same size or I'm in trouble. So I've ordered one of them. The standing part is, today is Sunday, and I just got notification just before I came out here that it was shipped today. Amazing. No wonder I get it in a week. But anyway, truth be told, I'm actually a week or two ahead of where I need to be with my video production, so I've got time to sit back and wait for a week for another motor to show up. So I'm not going to do anything more with this until that motor gets here. So that's it for the time being until that motor gets here. Alrighty, so like the original motor, I ordered this motor last Saturday. Today is Saturday, and there it is, all fitted up. Now, it uses the same bracket, has the same bolt holes, everything else, but the bloody thing's longer. So now I'm going to have to add a piece into these covers here to sort that out. But anyway, also while I was waiting, I bought a larger fan for here. Larger, spins a bit faster. So hopefully that motor will work better. But now it's late in the afternoon. In fact, it's past beer o'clock. So tomorrow morning I'll come out and I'll fit up some, well, I've got probably just enough left in these little offcuts to fill all that in, and a little bit on the other side. I'll do that tomorrow morning. Alrighty, so that's all done. Added 22 millimeters to the end of this thing to make it big enough. I thought I'd show you something. The new motor in there, when you look at it, looks exactly the same as this. So what I did was I pulled the end cover off and I milled out this little bit in between each of these to hopefully get some more air in there. I'll spin it around, show you, see if you can see it. Oh, you can see that down in there, you probably can't. They're milled out. But what I did discover while I had it apart was these motors have no cooling fan in them. So I'm really tempted to fit this original fan I put on the side on here to try and blow some air in there, help get some into it. I'll leave it off for the time being and just see how this bigger fan goes, drawing air through here with the bigger holes in it. Alright, so once again, we're 2 days on since I recorded that last bit. It's lucky I'm 2 weeks ahead of where I need to be. Once again, late in the afternoon, because I have to leave plenty of time for all this to dry and sand it and paint it and blah blah blah. So I'll leave this tomorrow. I'll have another go at grinding this. Oh, before I forget, I almost had this thing absolutely spot on and I stuffed up in a big way. What happened was, when I was rotating this around to the next hole to get it onto the next flat, I dropped it into the wrong slot, which meant that the cutting edge was no longer straight across and it was down like that, and I ground the corner off it, which completely stuffed it. And it was while I was trying to redress it to go back and start again that I blew the motor up, or the motor blew up, whatever. But anyway, tomorrow I'll have another go at grinding this up. Well, I can't seem to take a trick here lately. While I was getting this all set up this morning, I was trying to tighten the clamp bolt in here, and I've been worried all along that it might strip out, and it felt like it was starting to strip. So I put a nut on the back side of it and started to tighten it up, and next thing, bang, broke the bloody casting. So what I'm going to do is just machine up a steel ring that goes around here and clamp it with that, so I haven't got to worry about it breaking anymore. But oh god, it's not one thing, it's another. Alrighty, another two wasted days. It just really is just as well I was way in front of where I needed to be, because what should have been a 2-day job has turned into a 2-week job, because it's 2 weeks today since I started this video. Anyway, so I made up this steel ring. I was going to cold blue it, and I thought, no, if I paint it this silver that I got that painted, then it'll look more like the piece and they won't be so obvious. Alrighty, so I've got in and I've ground this up now. Got the 15-degree grind on it, but everything's a bit on the warm side, so it's coming up for lunchtime, so I think I'll have a break, let this thing cool down, and after lunch I'll come out and reset this. Alright, so I'm going to go to some lunch, and when I'm done there I'll come back and we'll reset this to 5 degrees and try and finish this damn end mill. Alright, so I got this all set up in here, and before we get started, I thought I'd mention this. Got sick and tired of this El Cheapo level box that I bought a long time ago. Just rubbish, just cheapest thing I could buy at the time, I think. And while I was waiting for that motor to show up, I invested into a new shade, which turns on and off better than the old one. The other one didn't even want to, you'd press the button, nothing happened. And then it was a really cantankerous friggin' thing. Anyway, I'll move this camera and then we'll get started on this. Alright, I have a sneaking suspicion I've taken too much again. Oh no, it's not too bad. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad at all. Now all I've got to do is figure out how I'm going to cut that slot through the centre here. But I've still got a little point right in the centre. I might have to go make another pass and just come across a little closer to the centre. Feels awful nice and sharp. It's still there, unbelievable. I'll try one more pass. I think I finally got it. But anyway, kind of an odd looking grind. But anyway, so now I've got to figure out how to cut this in here. I do have another wheel on order, but it's still, I don't know, 3 or 4 days away. So I'll have a little think about how I can cut that. Actually, look at this thing. That's got a little tip in the centre as well. Come to think of it, like the point on a drill. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's got one right in the centre. Pull this out of here and have a look. Closer look. Yeah, I might have the angle that I've got the top, the angle this way set a bit wrong. But anyway, we'll sort that out. Doesn't look too bad other than that. Anyway, I'll figure out a way to cut that bit in there. Alrighty, so it's been another bloody 5 days since I recorded anything, waiting for this to arrive. In the meantime, I made up an arbor and tried this thing, which was just bloody useless. I had a look at how this end mill fitted under here, and I reckon something very similar to this was used to grind these, because of the way that the angles are pretty much the same as what this thing has. I thought I was recording before and I wasn't. I would now cut both sides, so I'll get that out of there and I'll show you what it looks like. What I've done is I've set it up using just to cut parallels, get it up, because this nut is wider than the body, so I have to get it up above the jaws, and a 10-degree angle on there just to set it. Alrighty, so does it look like not bad at all, to be honest with you. Looks like it needs to be sloped over a little more, but God, I think that might actually have it, by James. Anyway, there's only one way to find out, and that's to try and cut something with it, isn't it? See how it goes. Alrighty, I'll give it a whirl. At this point in the video, I'd like to thank my patrons. This continued support is greatly appreciated. If you'd like to become a patron, there's a link down in the description. You can sign up there and drop me a couple of dollars every month. If you don't want to be a regular contributor, there's always buy me a coffee. Now, let's get back to the build. Alrighty, so this was a centre cutting end. The question is it still centre cutting end mill. There's only one way to find out. Now I'm not game enough to try it in a piece of steel, so I'll try it in a piece of cast aluminium first. So here we go. Well, there's the answer right there. No, it's not. So there's something I haven't got right with it. But let's see how it performs outside of that. Well, I don't mind telling you, I don't get finishes like that out of factory drawings, but I think it's pretty safe to say that I've got a bit to learn about centre grinding end mills, or at least how to grind them. Well, if you've enjoyed watching me struggle with all of this in this video, how about smashing that like button and giving it a great big thumbs up. I kind of hope you enjoyed watching it, and I think we'll wrap this up because it's long enough as it is. Alrighty, I think I've got the bugs sorted out in the grinder now, so it's just a matter of me working out how to grind the damn things properly, and I think we'll have a winner. Alrighty, so again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next week. Bye bye.